We're not the new kids on the block. We're the same award-winning company with all the same names and faces that you've known and trusted, Nelson Brothers. The same group that got the award for the 4th fastest growing real estate company on the Inc. 500 list of fastest growing companies are now here at NB Private Capital.
One of our principles, integrity. Integrity, #1 principle. We make sure that we are open and honest and communicative with our entire base, whether it's the reps, whether it's due diligence officers, whether it's investors. We treat everyone the same.
Every real estate is different, and I don't care if it's at the same school, they all have different dynamics. So during the due diligence, we prepare a business plan, and that business plan is for years 1 through 10. When we close, we put together a book that we call a playbook. And our playbook outlines the business plan of that property as well as everything that a execution team would need to get the thing started out of the gates. We hand that off to asset management. Asset management takes that playbook, they educate themselves on why we bought this building, and then they execute that game plan for years 1 through 10. So they're looking at a high level of how we navigate through the markets, how that property fits in that market, how that property is going to stay leased and providing the distributions. But an asset manager is looking high level and focusing on value and cash flow for the life of the investment.
One of our other principles is full disclosure. We want to make sure that everyone that we interact with knows exactly what it is that we're providing, that we're doing, that they're investing in. We want to make sure that everyone is comfortable and just really in the know. We think that's crucial.
From our perspective, there's really a 3-pronged communication. What do? We focus on student housing. Why is it important for investors? Well, because it provides some really compelling benefits that align with what they're looking for. And 3, how do they know we can trust us? And that's something that's earned over time. And that's part of what our job is how do we get folks to try us out, see what the monthly cash flow looks like, see what the tax return information looks like. And it's hard to believe not paying any taxes on income, but I think that's part of something we have to convey now, and that's part of our job.
So another one of our principles is service standards. For us, that is extremely important. All of our principles are important, but this one, we really do try to focus on offering professional services, making sure that reps, investors have the information they need in order to make prudent decisions on their investments. And that starts with being able to provide them the service. #1 being relationships. The relationship, again, is very important. And then #2, access to data. Access to the investment materials, access to due diligence materials, access to all the information they need in order to make the right decision to invest with us.
Because it's a brick and mortar asset, it's a brick and mortar business, the IRS will let you write off the wear and tear and usage of the building and count that as a loss against the income. And so they give us appropriate schedules that we follow, and we don't have to do a lot of tricks, not a lot of magic to it. It's just real straight line depreciation. We're able to show a loss on a K1 that is greater than the income.
NB Private Capital focuses on properties that sit in good, growing schools. That's #1 in terms of what we look for. And we spend a lot of time up front doing research. We have a research team that focuses on doing the upfront research on the school, the growth of the school, the real estate fundamentals of the school, the reputation of the school, what type of demographics that school. We like to see the student. You know, it might be located in Chicago, but you might have a lot of California influence because of people going into that geographic area. So we like to focus on the demographics and the shifts and how that's affecting the school. Another big driver to that would be the international student. You see a lot of that focus on. We just took a look at a property in Lansing, Michigan, and Michigan State. That has a big, of all places, a big population of foreign students coming in, and we thought that was very attractive in terms of long-term stability.
Well, student housing speaks to the types of things that our demographic of investors are looking for. So they're looking for 4 or 5 different components. They want stability. So student housing has stability because it's always anchored to the historical stability of a university. So Notre Dame isn't going anywhere. UCLA, USC, these are institutions that have been around for 100 years. They're not going anywhere. So property that is located there and is serving primarily kids who are going to those schools isn't going to go away because the kids aren't going to stop going to school. They're looking for growth. Traditionally, real estate, and in particular multifamily real estate, has grown at a pace of somewhere between 2.5% to 3% a year. So you're getting equity appreciation over time. And then of course there's the tax deferral that comes from owning real estate, in particular multifamily real estate. So the IRS allows you, if you're going to make income on real estate, to defer taxes or to shelter your income if there's a decrease in value in the property that comes by way of depreciation. And there are schedules of depreciation that the IRS allows you to take. And it's more aggressive with multifamily property than with anything else. As a result, almost 100% of the income that you derive from student housing is shielded. So if you're making a 6% return or 7% return, it's essentially the equivalent, depending on your income, of an 11, a 12, or 13% return if you were going to be taxed on that income.
We look at the school that we're going to work with in a particular market, and we meet with those schools and those housing directors and other directors at those schools to figure out exactly what it is that the students are often missing in their living experience. And because of that, we'll address those as a partnership with the school and a partnership with the student housing off-campus departments at those schools. And by doing so, we often fill voids in the market that are not being met. And by doing that, we elevate our property to a premium status in the market, both in rents and occupation, and ultimately as a return on investment for our investors.
We reach out to others and let them know we value their feedback. Feedback for us is very important. That way we know we are learning and growing and providing information that we need to provide and investors want to receive. So in terms of professional expertise, we have been around this industry for quite a long time, but in doing so, we still realize that we are young thinkers. We want to make sure that we are one step ahead of everyone, and we do value our technology, our ability to grow and think outside of the box.
Every property and every investment is different. No two are alike. Even in the same market, we may pick up a property that is suitable for heavy renovation. We may pick up a property that just needs a few touches to make it special, right? But we understand that students and parents make the decision whether to lease up in a certain property in the first, say, 5 to 10 seconds of seeing it. So when we walk into a property on a tour with a parent and a student, or even if it's just a student, or they're looking through pictures online of a renovated property of ours, we know we've got a few seconds to capture their imagination. And very often, it's a few touches that we bring throughout all of the properties, like countertops, paint in the cabinet colors, hardware, flooring. These things aren't necessarily dramatically expensive, but they make all the difference when they're done right. And we focus on design with great effort to make sure that they're done right. And that's how we capture all of those touring students.
What makes us different is the connection we have with our investors. We know them, we know their families, we know their children and their grandchildren. We hear about their family trips, how their day's going and what you can assist them with. And sometimes it's just nice where you just want to call them and saying, hey, you got back from your vacation. I want to make sure you received this email and you received your requested documents, and did you have any questions?
Ultimately, in real estate, your returns are tied to how well the real estate does, and we are 98% leased across our DST portfolio.